Hey, my Canadian friends, guess what? You can now take delivery of a Cybertruck, but it's going to cost you. And that leads to a very important question, which is there enough demand for the Cybertruck? Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. I want to talk about Canadian deliveries of Cybertrucks, which is very, very cool for my Canadian friends. And as it happens, I'm going to be in Canada, in Vancouver, for the Fully Charged show on September 6th, 7th, and 8th. So if you're around that area, definitely come say hi. And I'm on two panels, one with Sandy Monroe, so definitely come and watch those as well. I'll leave a link with information in the description so you can go check that out. Anyway, on to the story du jour, and that is all about Cybertruck. I'm going to reference a couple of articles from Electric and Fred Lambert. Of course, I will leave references to those in the description as well. I know that Fred Lambert is somewhat on the outs for the die-hard Tesla faithful here, but both of these articles seem relatively reasonable. But both of these articles mostly present facts, and of course, I will give my opinion after I read over most of this stuff. So first of all, starting with the positive news, Tesla launches Cybertruck in Canada, and it's pricey. It actually isn't that pricey in Canada because it's the exact same price as in the US. I think the general trend in Canada is for automakers to reduce the effective price of the vehicle somewhat so that in Canadian dollars, it's more or less the same as in US dollars, but clearly Tesla is not doing that. Anyway, Tesla has launched the Cybertruck in Canada, and the prices are going to make people think twice about buying the truck they have been waiting for years. That's where the angle comes in, and that's why I think people get upset with Fred Lambert. Again, this is the exact same prices in the US. If we look down here, we can see the prices are exactly the same as in the US. The two-motor version, the all-wheel drive Foundation Series, is 138,000 Canadian, which when I ran the numbers today is almost exactly 100,000 US dollars, and the Cyber Beast is 166 Canadian dollars, which is just about 120. So within a few $100s, Tesla is charging the exact same amount in both Canada and the United States. So obviously with the Canadian dollar being depressed versus the US dollar, it does make it look a hell of a lot more in Canadian dollars than US dollars. But when I went to the Fully Charged show last fall, I saw a couple of Mercedes and BMWs and things, and they appeared quite pricey in Canada as well. But when I ran the conversion rate, I realized that basically they were the same prices in the US. So Tesla is definitely not the only luxury car maker that is charging effectively the same amount in Canadian dollars and US dollars. Anyway, today, which was August 9th as he wrote this article, Tesla started sending invites to Canadian Cybertruck reservation holders to convert their reservations into orders. And like I said, there's the prices. Despite the disadvantageous exchange rate, some automakers will adjust pricing to make it more attractive for Canadian buyers, but not Tesla. These are basically the same prices in the US converted to Canadian dollars, and all of the same basic options and all of that kind of stuff that you have in the US as well. So it's pretty much an exact one-for-one thing. You get the exact same package and you pay the exact same amount, just inflated for Canadian dollar exchange rate. The interesting part here is Electric's take, or Fred's take. I doubt this will be very popular in Canada, and we'll talk about how popular it is in the US in just a second. The price after the exchange rate is just too high. If you want an electric pickup truck, there are some good deals. The F-150 Lightning ranges from $60,000 to $110,500, and the Silverado ranges from $75,000 to $118,000 in Canada. Both top prices are cheaper than Tesla's base Cybertruck prices with Foundation Series, to be fair, but even without those options, it will be cheaper. So I think this take is a little unfair because if you convert $80,000, which is the two-wheel drive or the two-motor drive version of the Cybertruck in US dollars to Canadian dollars, it's $109,000, which means it slots in comfortably with the high end of these. Now, that is not the three-motor version. Obviously, that is going to be more expensive, but at least for the two-motor version, it looks like it slots in pretty well in terms of the price for these other vehicles that are being sold in Canada. So with that said, let's turn to the United States. Again, this is Fred Lambert writing. Tesla is working through its giant Cybertruck backlog pretty fast. And this is anecdotally true. I know a lot of people who ordered the Cybertruck relatively late who have been invited to configure their Cybertruck for delivery. After Tesla unveiled the Cybertruck, despite all the ridicule from the public regarding the design, the company managed to accumulate over 1 million reservations. I believe that number is over 2 million at this point, although I don't know if Tesla has ever officially confirmed that. As Fred said, however, we noted that these reservations don't represent the best intentions to buy. As for the Cybertruck, Tesla reduced its deposit amount to just $100, down to $500 to $40,000 depending on the vehicle program prior. Now, this is not entirely accurate. We put $250 down for our Tesla Model Y, our 2020 Model Y, and the $40,000 is for the Roadster. So that's just, that's a little bit of an unfair comparison. In general, it's been $250 to $500. And of course, the Cybertruck, the deposit was less, but it's not that much less. And of course, it's not going to come as any surprise that a number of people who made those reservations for a fully refundable deposit are not going to go through. That's just the way it goes. So a reasonable estimate might be that half of the people who put down deposits will actually take delivery of the truck. But there's another wrinkle, of course. course, which is that they are selling the much more expensive Foundation Series Cybertruck first. As Fred says, furthermore, when Tesla unveiled the production version of the Cybertruck, it offered a lower range, which is very true, at a higher price, which is also very true, which would undoubtedly result in some reservation holders deciding not to go through with the purchase, which is also very true. How many people are buying the 100 and I would say $100,000+ trucks? Not that many is the answer. Despite Tesla having over 1 million reservations, and again, I think it's more than 2 million, for about 3 years, and only having sold an estimated 15,000 to 20,000 Cybertrucks, Tesla is already having issues finding new buyers for Foundation Series. So if we take the 1 million number of reservations and we divide 20,000 into that, we get 2%. If we take a 2 million reservation number, we get 1%. So if this is correct, that's a very small percentage of the reservation holders who are saying yes to the Foundation Series Cybertruck. As noted in the article, Electric received several reports from Cybertruck reservation holders who placed their reservation in the last year who are now getting contacted by Tesla to convert their reservations into orders. In some cases, people who already got their Cybertrucks but who had multiple reservations are also being asked to configure their second Cybertruck. In one case, a Texas resident who reached out to Electric placed a reservation last month and received an invite to configure 2 weeks later. So that is very fast turnaround at this point. But here's what I believe is the crux of the issue at this point. During Tesla earnings call last month, the company confirmed that it plans to soon move on from producing only Foundation Series Cybertrucks. In other words, they'll make $20,000 less expensive versions of the exact same truck. And then Fred's take is, it looks like despite its over 1 million reservations, Tesla is already exhausting the pool of buyers of over $100,000 trucks in the US, and this is not surprising, not only because it's very expensive, but also right now with interest rates as high as they are. I just looked, it's like 6 to 8% to buy a Cybertruck right now. That's the interest rate. That makes it crushingly difficult for anyone to purchase one. I know because we have been looking and trying to figure out how we can make it work with our finances. And by the way, if anybody wants to help out with making it work for our finances, we are happy to put advertising on our truck or whatever. Just DM me on X or contact me through drknowitallknows@gmail.com. And then Fred concludes, but even with the cheaper rear-wheel drive version coming next year, which might be as cheap as $65,000 or $70,000, I fear Tesla is going to have a hard time selling 250,000 Cybertrucks per year. So those are relatively close to the facts. Again, this is a little bit speculation because we don't have any official information from Tesla, except for the fact that they're going to move on from producing Foundation Series only to the regular versions. Those will be the same vehicle except for some laser etching as far as I know, but what you will lose is full self-driving and some other bells and whistles that go along with the Cybertruck. Now, the fact that they're selling them in Canada, number one, means that they're allowed to sell them in Canada, and that was a big blocker originally. But number two, it means that they have probably exhausted most of the US Foundation Series buyers, and they're turning to Canada to see how many Canadians they can get to purchase the Foundation Series. And they're probably, just like with the early Cybertrucks in the US, there will probably be a little bit of a surge of people purchasing the Foundation Series Cybertruck in order to be first in Canada. But the fact remains that now that people know that within a month or two, they can buy the same truck effectively for $20,000 less. And if you buy the 2-motor version, you're eligible for the $7,500 tax break, and that is a big deal as well. So you're actually looking at something that's over $27,000 cheaper than the version that you could purchase right now, the cheapest version. And with interest rates being so high and everything, that is a major sticking point, and that is the reason why we have not moved on our Cybertruck at this point. We've kind of put things on hold. We're just like, gosh, it's so expensive to purchase a $100,000 truck. It'd be a lot nicer to purchase one for about $72,500. Now, I personally have full self-driving attached to the Cybertruck, so I would add that back in again, but that would mean that with full self-driving, it would be $80,000, which is still $20,000 cheaper than the cheapest Cybertruck you can buy right now. Of course, this all comes with the caveat that they're probably going to start the line over again. So in other words, anybody who said no to the Foundation Series but kept their reservation, they'll probably start with number one all over again and march their way back through the reservation holders again. So that means the consequence of us not purchasing a Foundation Series could be up to 2 years of waiting for the exact same truck to come available to us with our reservation number again. So that's a big risk that we're taking by not moving on the Foundation Series, but honestly, with the economic headwinds going on right now, it's a pretty difficult decision for a couple of middle-class people to put $100,000 down for any vehicle. All right, so once again, good news and bad news on the Cybertruck front. Do you think the Cybertruck, after they get rid of the Foundation Series and lower the price somewhat, will be able to sustain that $250,000 a year run rate? Also, have you already purchased a Foundation Series Cybertruck, or are you waiting for the regular version to come out? Definitely let me know in the comments. While you're down there, if you don't mind liking and subscribing, that really helps out the channel. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.